welcome back. If you have not listened before, welcome for the first time. I'm going to hit a bunch of coverage and then kind of get into a rambling tirade about some other stuff. Anunnaki, it's up on a streaming platform and reliably doing the thing that it is supposed to be doing. Finally. So I've reposted that. It's my pinned tweet. It's also up above in the nest. You can watch it on Filmzy for free. No subscription required. You can see the short that I put out at the beginning of this year and then turned into an ebook and an audio book. Happy to talk about that project or the processes. Tomorrow on Film 3, we're going to be asking, is the technology ready? And that technology that we are wondering if it is ready would be AI, generative AI for film. I have my thoughts, but that's what the conversation's for. That's why you have the discussion. So that'll be tomorrow. You can RSVP if you're interested in hearing that conversation or joining in with it, which is always the better. Chicago 1893 book, still time to get that for the Chicago and history lovers, the architecture lovers, in time for a gift for before the year end, for people that love that stuff. That's up there. Christmas is the holiday. That new video redid that with Twin AI, as it turns out. Came out pretty decently, I think. Nice, fun little music video for you. And obviously the session from 2 weeks ago of this, the recording of this space, is up on all the podcast platforms as well. And finally, the book that I put out last month and audio book has started getting out to the other distribution channels, the other platforms for the audio book. So the hardback was up last month. The audiobook was up on Audible, and it's starting to get up onto Google and Apple and all the rest of them now too. So I've been promoting that, and the final audiobook for this year is going live. It's already live on a couple of platforms, but it's not up on everything yet. And I want to do the proper kind of promotional round for Daily History Facts. Next week, I'll probably start promoting for Wayfarers, which is the final audiobook of 2025. I've been doing one a month, a rigorous pace, no doubt. Do not recommend. Happy with the results, though. Very, very pleased with the way things went. I won't be doing that again next year. I may have some other things in the works. I'm obviously going to publish stuff next year. I'm just not going to do 12 short releases and a hardback and ebook releases and all the rest of that. I might do a couple of audiobook exclusives, more news as that becomes relevant or available. And also I've got new stuff in the hopper for original stuff too. New short story, hopefully out by May. It might be closer to summer. We'll see how that goes. It just depends on how much time I get to work on it. And paperback for the fall. Might have some other little things, original stuff kind of sneak out as it makes sense. And then I'm trying to finish what I started a year ago, which is volume 3 of Exploring Our National Parks. So that's going to be a film, short film, feature film, episode, whatever you like to call it, kind of going on that road trip and visiting those 6 parks. Might toss in, actually, now that we mention it, let's make a little note about something else for that particular project, because I keep forgetting it. You can't control when you think a thought, and you just have to document it and capture it when it's there so it doesn't sneak away on you. Critical, I think. But that project, so let's add some context. I started that obviously the book came out in the fall of 2024. So I pretty much immediately turned to video with it. But I got busy with the audiobooks from this year and was not able to focus on that and get that video turned out. I've made a little bit of progress over the course of the last year, but it just, it needed real focus and, time to mold it into shape. And I just wasn't able to do that. So now that I'm finished with these audiobooks, change gears, get onto that and knock it out. Hopefully by the end of January, that will be all packaged and ready to get out the door. Whether it gets onto streaming platforms, it gets picked up anywhere, I don't know. We'll see. Let us pray. But you can never really tell while you're in the middle of making it what's going to work or hit or what won't. So, I just do the work and we'll see how it goes on the back end, as it's getting promoted and released and, hopefully finding an audience for itself. Volume 3 has, bulked up the series and people are checking it out, print and ebook and audiobook, along with the other entries in that series and some of the other standalones that I put out this year to break off individual parks and stuff like that. But this is definitely the most involved video production for that series. And I think it's, going to definitively be the best. Thing here is I just want to make something that captures the spirit of the book and my experience and is engaging to watch and listen to and makes people want to go to those sites too. And, there's a little bit of new writing, obviously this is a writing space. There's a little bit of new writing that needs to occur to successfully turn that into a video that makes sense. There's things that you write in books or do in audiobooks that don't necessarily translate to the screen or how you have to tell that story on screen. So there's a few things I need to do there yet. So a little bit of voiceover work, doing some significant edits across the board on the video and everything. I mean, it's right now at about, let's say 44 minutes. I'm trying to get it up to 45. I think it'll be possible. We'll see how that goes, but hard to tell until you actually get into it, really. The fine-tuning edits that are there, most of it is working, I think, really, really well. There's just kind of like the bookend segments and adding space, where you can, because there's when you're listening to the audiobook, you have a very linear audible experience, no name dropping here, auditory experience. Where you start and where you end is not ever influenced by any other sensation but sound. Whereas with the vision, you mix in video to this and what you're showing and what you're saying, you might have more to show so you can space out what you have to say differently. You can let the video breathe a little bit and have some room for the eyes to kind of drink in what the pixels are doing, and you don't have to necessarily talk at the audience without a break. That's a situation that we encounter in these spaces too. I have no video to show. There's only talking, so you have to talk. You have to actually put the words into the microphone. Sorry if I'm making too much noise as it is. kind of an interesting day, knocking stuff out, getting little bits of all kinds of miscellaneous stuff. I find that that's kind of the way the end of the year goes, right? You try to like uh shore up whatever didn't get done earlier in the year, and push off, whatever you're not going to get done this year. It's like, okay, well, that's a next year issue. I like to, now that my 12 audiobooks for this year out, I'd like to really have saved a little bit of in the gas tank for myself at the end of the year to just get right into the new thing, and to start working on that stuff so that come the new year I have something to release and show really quickly into the new year. Because as soon as it's a new year, people forget that you did something. Even if you did it in December, oh well, you did it. That was December of last year. It's not even the same numbers on the calendar, so that's old news. Who cares? What have you done for me lately? And I think that's how we kind of have to be too, as writers, filmmakers, musicians, whatever, creatives. Not that you need to be like overly worried about the calendar or the schedule, but you do want to be thinking about putting stuff out at a regular pace or regular intervals, so that the people that are participating in the things that you're making can expect you to give them something, every X period of time, whatever that might be, or at least like every year, at the very least. That's certainly kind of how I approached books early on. The first couple of years I was doing a paperback a year, and then I kind of swapped over to paperbacks and some other type of release, like a short story or whatever. This year was just incredibly intense because I put out a really long form essay. I did all the audiobooks. I split off ebooks. I put out a couple of short stories this year as well. So I was just hammering. This year was really about, for me, doubling my audiobook catalog. So all the stuff that I have on audiobook for listeners to participate in, whatever network they're on or apps they might have or anything like that. I was like, because audiobooks were in the data that I keep, were performing well. They were finding an audience. People were buying them and listening to them. So I was like, if that's working, let me try and make that work twice as much, So that was my thinking for this year, was turn out all these audiobooks. And, luckily, successfully, I had a bunch of back catalog stuff that I could do things with. And then also I had recorded some things a few years ago now, that I had never done anything with. I had not released. I had just recorded and had been sitting on. So I was like, I can clean up this stuff. I can edit this stuff. I can finish this other stuff. And I'll easily be able to put out 12 audiobooks in one calendar year. As it turns out, I've actually put out 13 audiobooks in a calendar year, because I had put out one in December of 2024 as well. So I've I cannot believe that I've been able to maintain that pace. I really want to get back over to video though, as I was saying. Like, there's just a lot of stuff on the video side that I have not had time to work on or explore this year. And I don't want to say that I've fallen off or fallen behind what other people are doing, because I don't think that way. But in terms of me being able to keep up with and turn out the ideas that I have, that video is kind of the right format for those stories now, or the technology is there for me to be able to accomplish some of that stuff. It's become more compelling and more relevant and more important for me to give that stuff a try and accomplish it. I mean, I've done remakes this year of older videos, right? But that's not the same. I mean, that's just basically like a little benchmark test, if we're being honest. Essentially, like, here's the stuff I did last year. Let's see how it'll look with a couple of updates from the technology this year. And in some cases, it's a really big jump, you know. Certainly from like March 2024 to March of this year, that was a huge jump. When I'm looking at December 2024 to December 2025, you know, less of a jump for sure. But you know, it's still there. I mean, I know that those things are there, because like I guess the thing you would say is like, it's easier to get what you want out of them maybe a second go around, because you've already done it and you know what to prompt for. You've already gotten a result that you like, so you're kind of trying to replicate that. Whereas there's less discovery, less newness that has to be kind of uncovered. I mean, let's be honest here, I haven't done a lot of video. I mean, I've done, I don't know, I guess with ads and everything, I guess, I don't know, maybe I've done like 30 or 40 AI videos of all kinds of different stuff, advertising stuff, narrative stuff, artistic stuff, experimentation, exploration stuff, you know. There's people that have done way more than me and have way bigger and more in-depth traditional film experience too. So they're able to just kind of like manifest their vision, I think, more acutely than me, where I'm very much still learning about the technology and the language of the craft of filmmaking. I have no on-site experience with it. You know, making documentary stuff, journalistic stuff, vastly different than narrative, short film, animation stuff, whatever, you know, the case might be, however you want to look at it. The books that I've kind of turned into film, there's really only so many choices that you can make. You're not going to like vastly change what you did in the book to put it on screen. Whereas like when I've started the creativity on screen, you know, it goes in much different directions than I would expect, I guess, from myself. I don't want to say it's unpredictable. It's just that, you know, if you're bound by time and the technology and your capabilities, then you try to execute a story that can work, kind of triangulated between all of those different guardrails, I suppose you might say. Yeah. I think if you have a traditional film production, film direction background, then maybe that makes more sense, or maybe you have even more flexibility. AI is not very flexible, I wouldn't say. It'll do the things that you tell it to do. And sometimes you'll get surprises, and sometimes those surprises are good. But when you're not getting what you want, it really is an issue. It's an operator issue of you not telling it, not speaking properly to the machine, I found. The answer is probably in there somewhere. It's just about how to get it to show up. Hey, what's up, Eric? Yeah, feel free to come on up and hang out if you want to promote anything. This is like a very free form scenario. I record and put it out as the podcast and stuff. But yeah, was just kind of going over some of the different stuff I've done this year, things I'm planning to work on for the new year. But hey, you're up here. What's going on? How are you?
Hey, it's been a while since I've used Spaces, so I was just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm doing good. I was planning on being here a little bit sooner, but I've got a 2 and a 4-year-old, and sometimes they don't take naps at the time that they're supposed to.
Well, that's how it goes. Yeah. What have you been working on? What do you want to talk about? How has it been? What have you got going?
Okay, so what I've got going right now, I write a series of US presidential weird sci-fi books, I guess.
What happened if J.D. Vance time traveled to the American Revolution?
Well, yeah, something like that. I mean, I wrote a Al Gore time travel book. But the one what I'm working on right now is a Grover Cleveland book in which he gets cloned.
Nice.
And that's what I'm working on right now. I'm hoping I will get it finished and published in the first half of next year. But that's the plan.
Is it the original Cleveland, or is it the clone Cleveland that goes to the expo?
That actually doesn't happen, but it's I'm trying to think of like how much so I don't know if you knew that Grover Cleveland was the first president to be to have non-consecutive terms.
Yeah.
And so so the idea came from when I was in elementary school, and you see like the list of presidents and you see the picture of Grover Cleveland twice, and they usually use the exact same photo of him. So I had this, so somewhere in the back of my mind, the thought of like, two identically looking Grover Clevelands at the same time. So that's where the idea came from. But also, right as in his second term, he had cancer in his mouth, and he had a secret. This is not fiction. He got on a yacht under complete secrecy, and some surgeons on this yacht, under the guise that he was on a fishing trip, basically did surgery and removed a part of his jaw, and to remove the cancer. And they built a prosthesis to like fit the part of the jaw that they removed, and nobody really knew that it had happened until after he had died, and one of the doctors that was involved wrote a kind of a tell-all about it.
Damn.
So that's also kind of like the premise from which I kind of start, is that one of the doctors secretly gets some samples of Grover Cleveland and then uses that to make a clone. So that's kind of how the story starts.
All right. Okay, so when do you think your book is going to be out?
I'm not exactly sure. It is almost ready for beta readers.
Okay.
I would imagine it'll probably be like April-ish, April or May, depending on how fast beta readers go through it and how much I gotta edit it.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably a reasonable estimate.
You should follow up with me in February about doing a podcast interview.
Sure.
That'll be about when I'll be scheduling, and it sounds like maybe you'll have like targeted release date.
Yeah, I'll have a better idea of like when it. Yeah.
I would say February, first half of that month. If you've got it dialed in, then we can put it on the calendar and then do the actual recording session and stuff. And
sure, that sounds good.
Yeah, make it coincide with the release. Yeah, how many of these books, or how many of these do you have out now? Or
so I've got 3 out in that series. Yeah.
How many books do you have out total?
It depends on how you count.
Okay. How do you count?
I would say I've got 4 or 5 books out, depending. Yeah, but if you do the most generous number, I think I've published 7 books. But
okay.
Yeah.
Well, how did you get so generous to get all the way up to 7? But you're also hovering between 4 and 5.
Well, because like about 20 years ago, just experimenting with publishing, back in the aughts.
Gotcha.
And stuff that probably doesn't exist anymore except like on my mother's shelf.
Gotcha.
But but like let's see, I think on Amazon it has 5 books of mine.
Okay.
On Amazon.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Have you done audiobooks for anything?
I have not. Not yet. That's always on the back burner, but like I said, I've got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, so finding time to record is kind of the hard thing. Although I have produced some audiobooks for other people. I wasn't reading them.
Okay.
But I helped produce some audiobooks for some other people.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that's the thing too. You can work your way through as you can, if you've got an hour and you can bang out the recording of some material, you can edit whenever. That becomes a much more time flexible component of it. I hate editing. Like, it's the worst part of the experience for me.
You mean the audio editing?
Yeah. I just derive no joy.
It's mind numbing. Yeah.
There's people I know that like it, it's like there's like a subset of people who are just all about audio engineering, and it does not phase them to be doing that. For me, it's like I can do that for like a couple minutes at a clip, and then it's like my brain just wants to be doing any other thing besides that, and I have to basically just like go through that cycle.
Yeah, I get it.
I do like a couple of rounds of editing for anything.
Yeah.
To where I'll basically cut out all of the reject stuff, and then I'll come back through and I'll do another pass on like, okay, this is good, and these are the good takes, and maybe try and get it into proper sequence time wise and pacing and stuff. And then I'll take a final listen through and really like dial that in. Maybe I've done punch-ins where I've had to fix stuff here and there, but yeah.
Right.
Man,
Yeah.
it's just,
but by the end you're sick of it, right?
well, I've done 12 audiobooks this year, as I was saying
that's
before. Yeah. And they're short, you know what I mean? But all the same,
right.
Like an hour audiobook is still 2 to 3 hours of recording session, and then hours and hours of editing and mixing, and I do all the like design stuff and the promotion for these things and stuff. I mean, like I'm not complaining about it. Like I set out at the beginning of this year to do this, and I've accomplished it, which is insane. To looking back at it, like at the beginning it didn't seem insane, but I can tell you right now, like at the end of it, it definitely is. And I don't recommend anybody try to accomplish that by themselves.
12 in a year, that's a lot, man.
Yeah, if you have other people helping, like with the audio engineering side of things, that would be the biggest compliment. I think that would be fantastic. Or if you have other people that are doing like design stuff or the promo side of things, like that can really help. But it was basically like get one done, turn it out, and then get started on the next one. And it meant I wasn't able to do like video stuff that I wanted to do this year. You know, luckily I've been able to do a couple of remakes, but I have original projects that have been sitting for a while in some cases, and like getting some of that stuff turned out and on screen participating in that conversation is important to me.
Yeah. That's also been kind of like an issue with like why I haven't gotten into audio, or I haven't finished audio. I've attempted starting audiobooks. I haven't finished any, is because also like when I've got like an hour or something, I want to be writing.
Yeah.
Is like, I want to be working on new stuff. And so, and after having kids, it's you have to like scrape together whatever time you can possibly get. So it is a time management kind of thing that keeps me from doing everything that I would like to do.
For sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I get it. So what are these audiobooks about that you made?
Some of them are national park stuff. Some of them are short story fiction that I wrote, short story fiction that other people wrote. Like I do some Philip K. Dick. I've done some, trying to think of like other well-known authors that I've covered this year. Hard telling. But I've got some other stuff sitting in the hopper too. I haven't recorded it yet. I might do those recording sessions like before the end of this year and then sit on them over the course of next year and just like release them as they get finished and I have time, just to pepper things out into the ecosystem. But another one was an essay I did on Thomas Pynchon. Trying to think of, I released an ebook and an audiobook that was kind of an investigation of the Pied Piper of Hamelin. So that was a nonfiction piece as well. That, started as a video series that I did with Chrissy Pressman last year. Yeah. So, I mean, the topics and the focuses and the genres and everything very all over the board, scattershot, I would say.
Yeah.
Whatever I had at the beginning of the year where I was like, I think I could get this dressed up and buttoned up and out the door in 2025. I made a big list of that stuff. And I adjusted it. Like there were some things that were on the list that never got made. There are things that were further down or further earlier on the list that ended up somewhere else by the end of the year. There were things that I had no idea that I was going to do, um, like the Thomas Pynchon essay thing. I didn't know I was going to do that this year.
Yeah.
That was actually originally going to be a podcast episode that I was doing with some friends, and one of the people had to back out of it, and I had prepared just a ton of notes for that podcast session, and I was like, well, I had already done some writing on Pynchon a couple of years ago, so I just kind of grabbed up my notes, and started knocking that around for about 6 months until I ended up with, I don't know how many words I ended up with, maybe around 9,000 or something. For that essay, and shorted up a decent amount with some help from a few other readers, who are familiar, readers of Pynchon, people that are familiar with his work. If you're not familiar with his stuff, I cannot imagine being a beta reader for that. For me, the way that I do that, cannot be pleasant if you didn't actually really, really like that guy's writing.
Okay, so I've got some questions for. This is a talk shop kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask you some questions about because I'm interested to hear what other people do. So one of the things you said was that you really didn't have time for promotion, just this production schedule that you gave yourself. Is your plan like to work on promotion like next year? Or just the fact that you're prolific, does that help with the promotion?
Well, I mean,
what do you find?
I did a round of promotion for each of the releases, right?
Yeah.
There's really obvious things you can do. Like in terms of promotion, like the National Parks Project just turned 5 according to its like first release, which was in 2020, December of 2020. So you can promote around that. Like if some given release is a year old or whatever, you can promote around all those releases or those individual releases. If they're 5 or whatever, you can promote around that stuff. Or if they're 1 year, if it's been 1 year, so like next year, every single month, each of these projects is going to be 1 year old, so that's like, that's something you can promote around every single month. Or you could even do like, oh, this one's 6 months old or whatever you want to do, or 1 month old, however you want to do it. You can make up a reason to promote stuff, and you can just like shamelessly self promote as well. Like it doesn't even matter, it's fine. It's fine to do that. But like people don't know that a lot of people are out there like working their ass off to make stuff, because then they're heads down making stuff, and everybody else is too, and they don't necessarily get every single message you make. And if I'm only posting about something for a week or two around the course of that release, well, if you didn't see it then, how would you know? I mean, yes, I've done a lot of promotion this year because I've put out a lot of stuff, but that's going to change. So how will you know about it if it's not me talking about, or other, users or listeners or readers of those things?
Right. So I have another question. So it sounded like you had quite a variety of stuff that you have been writing. Do you write that all under the same name, or do you do different pen names?
No, it's all under my name.
Yeah. So what do you think about writing various different things under the same name?
I'm fine with it.
Because some advice that you see on the internet is you got to use different pen names for different genres or something else like that.
If you want, you can. I mean, I think that there was like a lot of stigma around that kind of thinking back when like these big publishing houses were trying to really defend their assets, but there's not really that many big assets in publishing at this point, honestly, that are like delivering bangers, and moving units. every single time they release a book.
Right. Just, you mean based on the name?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
who's out there putting stuff out like Stephen King and like moving heads that way right now,
Yeah.
like Stephen King's going to put out 2 or 3 books in the next year, and like he'll probably have like something that is turned into a television show and something that is turned into a movie. and right now there are in fact things that are being turned into movies and television shows on, and it's been that way for easily the last 35 to 40 years, 45 years, maybe 50 years for Stephen King at this point.
Right.
So what else is out there that's comparable for them? I don't know, but like we can do that ourselves too. We can make stuff and we can turn stuff out and like keep attention on what we're doing. The cost is very low to us. And you can build an audience around that. I think it's okay. If like your audience doesn't follow you for every single thing. Stephen King he's had, I mean, let's think about the fact that like the guy that wrote The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile like is also It and Carrie,
right,
and The Shining and everything else,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's one of the things I think about. That's but well, and I'm just to play like devil's advocate. What I think what people will say is, especially if you're dealing with algorithms mainly to try to like get people to find your stuff, is that if your pen name is consistent with a certain type of genre, then people are going to be more likely to find your stuff if they search for things on like Amazon, or Amazon will be more likely to suggest your stuff if it's more consistent. Although I wonder how much that might work beyond just like I get it if you're just writing romance and people and romance readers only buy romance.
Sure.
Like I kind of get it like for something like that. But I wonder, especially if you're writing something like mine that has I have a hard time describing potentially what the genre is. It seems like trying to chase an algorithm is a fool's errand for me, and I just kind of I think in those cases it's more of just a numbers game. Is that you just gotta put your stuff out until your readers find you.
Yeah,
And
until
that's
you hit like a critical mass. Here's the thing. I don't know if you're in the group. I had shared a post or maybe like a link to like the top 100 authors of all time, and when you look through, what they have, like the averages, right, were that they had put out like dozens of books, and there was because of a few of the authors had put out such huge numbers of books, it actually pushed one of the averages up to like 150 or 160 titles.
Wow.
You have to completely like disregard some of these far heavily weighted authors who have put out hundreds, or in one case like thousands of titles. But you're still ending up with authors who have like 40 books. You know what I mean? And like 40 books for you and I seems crazy right now, but it's really not. It's not at all. I mean, just this year, like I said, this year, my mission was to double the number of audiobook offerings that I have. And I've done that this year. And in turn, I have grown the number of like physical releases and ebook releases that I have out, because I put out a bunch of ebooks. I put out one hardback book this year, but 12 audiobooks. And how is that experiment going to play out over the course of next year? I don't know. If my sales numbers stay growing the way that they have, that's incredible. If they even fall back on what they did this year because I'm not promoting relentlessly next year, well, that's still very incredible for me, you know, compared to where I was, you know, a couple of years ago. But even that, again, some of those things are not full books, you know, they're shorter releases, or they're covers where I'm reading other people's stories. So do I count those as like my book or my release? You know, it, again, like the way that you were representing your numbers before, it's like, yeah, I mean, there's some things that it's like, yeah, I performed that, but I didn't write it, you know, so I can do whatever I want with that. But would I consider it like my book? I wouldn't consider it my book. I would call it what it is. It's an audio book that I produced.
Right.
That said, you know, I'm not even halfway to the lower average of the number of titles for like best-selling authors of all time. And if that's by some metric, if that's a worthwhile measurement of how to achieve critical mass and popularity, is to like continue producing things and getting better at it and finding the audience. And when you do find somebody that wants to be a part of your audience, that you have enough things for them to participate in when they have found you, you know, because like, yeah, it's cool if you find an author or a band or whatever, and they have, you know, a great song or one great album, but isn't it that much cooler when you find out that they have an entire series of books, or they have an entire back catalog of albums that you can explore and listen to and discover for the first time for yourself? And it's the same way with authors and readers. And you know, there's a lot to be said about, you know, you want a series to be complete before even starting it, you know, that it is what it is. But people will find you in all kinds of different directions. And like, that's at least what I've found over the last couple of years, is that it kind of doesn't matter, you know, what I'm making, so long as I'm making stuff I like making and getting it out in front of people.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate that, that perspective. I'm just kind of asking, it's interesting, hearing different authors, different perspectives on those kinds of questions.
Yeah. There are people like in our scene who are, you know, just a light year ahead of, you know, anything that I've achieved with books and stuff, success or whatever. And I would say like whatever it is that's working for them, you know, you can emulate some of that to a degree, you know. And the things that I see that are really working for people are having a large series of books is working for people. Whether you're adding on to that or not, you know, the thinking is like, if people find you from one book, you know, it's really great if you have like 6 more that they're able to engage with in that series. Right. They really like that, you know. And I found that to be the case with my national parks books, that, you know, people will listen to or read all of it, you know.
Right. Yeah. That's the yeah, I get that too, because I'm like that as a reader. If I find something that I really connect with, I'll go and get everything in that that goes along with it. So I get that. It's just I I'm kind of like, I'm in the place, at least at the moment, just because of a variety of reasons. I didn't write a lot for a while, and I'm like, in the last couple years I've I've kind of like been getting back into it, uh, and and you know I like I said, even like with the audiobooks, it's also like, if the found time that I have is, am I either writing something or am I promoting something? But also, kind of like what you said, I kind of have this thought that, I don't spend a ton of time promoting. It's more of the thought in my head that at some point, maybe I'll spend more time promoting, but really, like, I've got 5 books on Amazon. um my focus, at least at the moment, is to try to just write more and worry about promotion at some other point in time. But uh but also the fact that, like, my books kind of defy promotion, make it a little bit easier for me to just skip out on
Well,
that.
I mean, if you want people to find stuff, you gotta, give them the X number of impressions, um, so that it has some recall for them. That you're
Yeah,
giving
yeah,
them
people
a
have to see
drive to
it a
go,
certain amount of times.
yeah, to
Yeah,
dig it up. Um, I try to do that. I try to not overdo that.
yeah,
You
it's
know,
hard to know exactly
it is what it is.
where the sweet spot is in that.
I feel like, just given the nature of what I've been releasing and promoting this year, I really only have uh like the week before something is released, when it's kind of wrapping up and I'm talking about, like, this is what this project was, and then the week after it came out, to be like, here it is, it's available, and like, before too long I basically have to like completely turn my head onto the new thing and start working on that. I'm going to try and change that a little bit going into the new year, because uh, like I said, I'm doing some video stuff, potentially have some other audiobook stuff in the future, as well as like ebook and paperback stuff, but like, it's not going to be at like a monthly breakneck pace where I have to be concerned with making sure that, I'm able to hit my deadlines, because basically, like, the 20th of every month this year has been like, all right, now I have to get into high gear on releasing the audiobook for next month, and like, everything has to be submitted very soon, all the artwork has to be done.
Yeah,
And in a lot of cases, I was starting that, a month before that, or 2 months before that, or whenever. But sometimes I wasn't, and it was like very much just flying by the seat of my pants, and getting it out the door in time, really. But yeah, that would be my thing. Is like, and here's the thing too. Um, I don't think a lot of like the indie authors have taken advantage of short stories, trying to sell short stories enough. I see people doing it on like Substack with like beta readers and to build audience over there, but honestly, like, if they're reading you over there, they're already your audience. If they're subscribing, that's cool, but if they're not, then like, convert them into people that give you money for your work.
so where would you mean, like, just publish short stories,
Yeah.
like, as ebooks?
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
That's actually what one of the things I've been doing is I've been writing short stories on Substack. Some of them are maybe you would consider more like flash stories, but
Sure.
some of them get to the point of like the size of a short
But
story.
Substack doesn't index.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Substack. Yeah. And I have one short story that I wrote before Substack that I published. But actually, now that I had, like, I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
Like, and I could just take my Substack or the ones that would work as a book and turn them into ebooks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then direct them to the Substack, right? Or a link to the Substack or a link
No,
to
why?
or no. What? Well,
Why would you do
so that
that?
they could find me, right?
Who cares?
But
They can find
who
you.
cares?
Yeah, they can.
Oh well, I guess yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's
They
my
can
name is
find
connected to it.
right.
If they're
Like link them to your website or your Substack if you want. Like I wouldn't. Substack is you don't own that territory. Like just the same as you don't own Kindle. So like the only thing that you really own, right? That you really truly have control of is your story. Your story is your
yeah,
network and your platform. So like wherever you put it, like try to build an audience on that distribution channel and have that distribution channel be paying you money for having done so. That is my opinion on it. Like the audience, you don't even own the audience because you can't. Even if you have like their email, people change their email address all the time.
right.
And, it's cool. Like you should have email lists and you should do Substack. But what you really want to do is like be selling your writing and your words. So sell them, make your words a product that people can buy and instead of like a product that they participate in as an audience member. Like they should only get to participate as an audience member if they paid admission to the show to be at the concert or like in the theater. And I don't understand the idea of like, I want you so bad in my audience that I'm willing to give you my work for free. Just makes no sense to me, but whatever.
Well, I guess you maybe have a different philosophical take to your writing than I do. Because I guess I'm also like I get that and but I for me um and maybe this also like reveals something about myself, but my I don't know that making money from my writing is what I'm pursuing.
That's fair.
Yeah, and I like getting the reactions. I like knowing that people read it, and
Yeah.
but I also like when I started making books about 10 years ago now. Um, uh, this is something I've talked with people about before too. Is that um, the real thrill for me in the writing and publishing was having the finished physical product,
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome.
was having the artifact, right? And that was like the pinnacle of where I got, the most thrill out of everything. And, just having that physical artifact was what, and so in some ways, like everything else is just gravy.
I hear you.
Do you get that? Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. But I have put out a paperback every year since 2019.
Yeah.
And I did albums with bands for, 10 years. And I premiered my documentary in an actual theater, like I'm
Yeah. No, I get
100%
it.
with
Yeah.
you on the experience is super cool. That part of it is super cool, but it, once you've done that enough times, once you've been like, I'm holding the thing I made, or if you know that you make things that you can hold and you do that, regularly for long enough period of time, then you kind of want to turn it into being a lot more I don't want to say standardized, but I want to say like you've compartmentalized the experience part for for participants. Like I like writing and I like making music and I like making movies, but I can do all those things for me at no cost and also no aggravation. Like those are all things that I could do if I chose. But as soon as
Right.
you enter into like the public sphere with your work, then I think it kind of changes over to like, I want people to enjoy this. I want people to continue to enjoy the things that I'm making, and I want them to enable me to continue to make new things for them to enjoy. And that kind of reciprocal exchange, that
Right. No, yeah, I get that.
to me transcends the, like, I'm holding the thing that I made.
No, well, yeah, I get that. I guess at least to this point, and maybe it's because I haven't hit that threshold where, selling has gotten to that point, where it's a self perpetuating system or machine. Um,
I see you out there. You got all the books out. People are reading you.
and but yeah, people are reading. I guess it's just not as high of the thrill, if that makes sense. Like there are positives to various kinds of things. It's just um it's like what is the thing that, like, when I think about like what gives me the highest amount of satisfaction, it's that. But I also get that giving away everything for free, or even giving away a good amount for free, devalues the thing that you're giving away. And there is this kind of psychological thing of, when if people get something for free, they don't value it. And then they don't, but if somebody pays for something, it automatically has more value.
Yeah.
And so I had that I had some like things, because when I first like put out my books, like I said, is the artifact was the big thing. And then I thought selling them as cheap as I could, and this is like 10 years ago, so like selling them for like $5 a piece or something, like, the paperback or something like that, I thought I was giving people a deal. But then I realized that it I wasn't. I was actually devaluing my work, but then also in devaluing my work, I made them feel like my work wasn't as valuable as it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was something that I had to discover after a while. But yeah. And maybe I got to think about that also with my Substack too. I don't, yeah, there are some things I hide behind a paywall.
Sure.
So, but yeah, there are, I got to think about it.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed talking with you, and I'll try to get this, but I've noticed that my son is crept out of his room, and so I probably have to go.
Well, that's all right. Yeah, this is a good chat. I'm glad you got to come and hang out. I feel like it's always useful to kick ideas around and talk with folks and hear what's working for them. Because
Yeah.
what works for what you have, your catalog and your availability and your goals it's different than anybody else's. You know what I mean? So it's just the nature of what people prioritize.
Right. Well, and I completely appreciate other people's point of view, and like you said, like in some ways we're all doing the same thing, but then also like the reason why we're doing the various things are are varied,
Yeah.
right? And but there's still a lot to learn and a lot to get from each other. So man, I really appreciated this, but I hope you have a good day.
Hey, you too, man. And this has gone well, and we will talk again before too long.